Okay, so I am going to dive right in. This is my brother Russ with me and our kids in August 2022. As you can tell from that sparkling smile on his face, he's pretty thrilled about his family's recent move from Connecticut to sunny Sarasota, Florida on the West Coast. However, just a few weeks after this photo was taken, the news broke that there was a hurricane brewing in the Gulf. Based on my 14 years of experience as a Floridian, I assured my brother, who was on edge about the safety of his family, that he was probably going to be just fine and they could hunker down at home. However, on September 27th, the National Hurricane Center posted its mid-morning update. Ian's track was veering south directly over Sarasota, and the storm was picking up speed and intensity. I called Russ. I told him to immediately evacuate his kids and his wife to my home in Gainesville, just a few hours north and further inland. And to my relief, he did. The next morning, we watched the news, just glued and mesmerized, as Hurricane Ian slammed Florida's southwest coast with 160-mile-an-hour winds, heavy rain, and a 15-foot wall of churning water. Ian made landfall as a Category 4 hurricane 100 miles south of the previous day's predictions. 66 people died in this event. Many of them were elderly residents that emergency crews could not evacuate in time, given the limited warning. And another 84 people died in the storm's chaotic aftermath. I'm telling you this story, to all of you this story, to really emphasize 2 points. The first is that Floridians, like New Yorkers and people that live in coastal zones all over the world, depend on weather and climate forecasts to make decisions for the safety of their families when storms like Ian bear down upon us. And the second is that the current forecasting systems that we have access to today cannot tell us with enough precision where and how hard these storms are going to hit us to take life-saving actions. It's these realities and the time that I spent in the waters around Fort Myers monitoring the impacts of this storm on water quality with my local partners whose lives were overturned by this event, including Savannah in the middle of this photo, who lost her home, that have driven me to capitalize on all the resources I have at my fingertips as the director of the Center for Coastal Solutions at the University of Florida to make these coastal forecasting systems better. So let me tell you a little bit about coastal models and the work that my team of oceanographers and computer scientists are doing to make these models better. So this is a simulation of Hurricane Ian storm surge that we created using a high-resolution physics-based model called the Regional Ocean Modeling System, or ROMS. This model is really a valuable tool because it allows us to simulate how hard and where the storm surge, which you see as the big red bulge kind of moving on shore, what its impacts are at the individual neighborhood scale along Florida's coast. Now, ideally, when a storm like Hurricane Ian is barreling towards us, we would take the inputs from all of the different hurricane tracks from both the US and European models and use those to feed those into ROMS to create what we call an ensemble-based forecast. This ensemble would allow the Florida Department of Environmental Management, FEMA, and the other entities that all coordinate the disaster response to look at neighborhood by neighborhood scale, what is their likelihood of being slammed with a particularly extreme storm surge. Compared to the low-resolution maps that they have access to today, this highly granular information would transform where they stage emergency response crews, as well as where they prioritize assisted evacuations of vulnerable residents. However, it is impossible to generate these forecasts today because ROMS consumes so much computing power and takes so much time to run. So we've been collaborating with the NVIDIA AI Technology Center that's based at the University of Florida to deliver essentially the next generation of coastal hazard models, which we're calling Sailfish. Sailfish is an open source AI foundation model that can predict at a human scale and 1,000 times faster the impacts of, or can forecast ocean temperatures, salinities, currents, and water levels at the scale of human impact and 1,000 times faster than our current models. And over the last year, we've made a tremendous progress in delivering Sailfish by rewriting the code base of ROMS to optimize its efficiency in running on GPUs, or graphical processing units. We can now run that one simulation of the storm surge from Hurricane Ian in 10 minutes on a single GPU. Compared to its predecessor that was based in Fortran and ran on central processing units, this represents a 30-fold acceleration in model speed, and we only run this model on 10% of the energy. So where do we go from here? We propose the following 3 steps that we think we can take in the next 3 years to revolutionize the quality and precision of coastal hazard forecast models. Specifically, we need to sort of fully optimize the ROMS code base to run on GPUs with the partners that you see on the screen. This end-to-end optimization of ROMS would allow us to deliver those ensemble-based forecasts that our emergency managers need in the US to make those game time decisions, but it would also allow us to work with a network of coastal modelers all over the world to run ROMS in many different locations in different coastal areas around the world that differ in their environmental conditions, creating petabytes of data. With this mountain of data, then we can then train Sailfish as an AI foundation model to learn the physics and the behavior of coastal waters. Once trained, users will be able to run Sailfish in seconds on a GPU-powered laptop for any coastal region in the world. They can also innovate the open source code of this model. Third and finally, we need to train emergency managers all over the world on how to generate ensemble-based forecasts using Sailfish for their local geography and to support their local communities, allowing us to safeguard the 900 million people around the planet that live in low-lying coastal zones that are now 15 times more likely to die from flooding and storms. So you may be wondering, why are we calling this model Sailfish? So sailfish are, of course, the fastest fish in the sea. And they also hunt down their prey with their sharp bill with incredible precision. Sailfish also work in groups to herd smaller fish into swarms like this ball of bait, allowing each other to catch their dinner a little easier. So it's inspired by the speed and the precision of the natural world that we hope to deliver this technology to improve the quality and the resolution of coastal forecast models to the planet. So thank you all for your time and your attention and for the opportunity to be here.